Welcome. This is Redefine Real Estate Podcast and interview. And today we're here with Corey Fuller. Thanks for coming out today, Corey.
Yeah, no problem. Appreciate you having me out.
That's the only official part. Everything else is just a conversation. Okay? that's the only official part. So excited to have you. Like we were just talking about, there's a lot of overlaps. You're a local guy here, having a good amount of success, and I think everyone's story is always unique and stuff like that. So
for sure.
For the people, the listeners, the video watchers, what have you, who are you, Corey, and what are you about?
Yeah, so not a crazy guy. You know, I grew up in Ypsi for the first part of my life, moved over to Livonia when I was about 12, 13 years old, graduated from Livonia Churchill, go Chargers.
What year did you graduate?
2018.
I'm getting old. Keep going. Yep.
I get that a lot.
I'm getting old.
You know, my story is a little unique. You know, the college route was definitely not for me. I learned that pretty early, junior year, I would say. I already kind of knew that wasn't going to be the route. So it was an interesting start to my post high school story because I started as an electrical apprentice. I was doing industrial contracting with a former person in my life. Her family, they owned a business there. Mm-hmm. So I started with that. Did that for about a year. Learned pretty quickly. Not quite the niche that I was looking for. So then I took a transition. Before I dive into that, I actually started my sales career at 12 years old. I was selling newspaper subscriptions, door knocking people at 12 years old.
Okay, so this is like a company. You were like you worked.
It was a smaller company, and it was super funny because the guy who we worked under showed up in the creepy white van, and for some reason my mom allowed me to go with him. I don't know. But it all worked out.
So you did door-to-door sales when you were 12 years old.
I did door-to-door sales.
This is an awesome takeaway.
Yeah.
Although not necessary, I don't think, to sell real estate, but it is necessary for growing door-to-door sales.
I mean, for me, I grew up around sales. Between that, my dad was in car sales. He sold dirt bikes with my uncle. They ran like a power sports store together. So I was always around sales in one way, shape, or form.
Yep.
So I felt like it's almost destined for me to get into sales. The figuring out part was what kind of sales I was going to get into.
Sure, yeah.
Which after the electrical stuff, it led me to actually get into car sales. Okay. So I did that for about 6 months. The thing I really didn't like about the car sales is you're sitting there waiting for opportunity to come to you.
Yeah.
That's not the person I am, especially coming from the background of knocking on people's door when I was 12 years old.
Sure.
I needed something different. And I was sitting there one day at my desk, just contemplating things. I'm like, okay, well, cars is like one of the most expensive thing most people buy in their life, right? I'm like, what's more expensive than a car? It's like a house. I'm like light bulb moment. So then I started the process of getting my license, and the rest has been history.
Cool. This is an awesome story so far. I love it because I think sales doesn't always come natural to people.
Yeah.
And not saying that real estate agents are just salespeople. There's a lot of hats for sure, but sales is very, very important. I think actually most agents, I think a major takeaway of this is most agents get into real estate and they think like, I'm going to show houses. I am going to show houses. I'm going to maybe negotiate contracts a little bit. And it's going to be fun. I'm just going to show houses and like, I'm going to make a bunch of money, right?
Little do they know.
Yeah. And so like the sales acumen is something that's like a lot of times missing in our world. So being able to understand there is a sales process. We have to move deals forward. We have to we have to keep deals together. We have to communicate through it.
Well, not only that, but just like negotiating in your client's best interests. Right. It's not just solely, putting a deal together. It's, at the end of the day, people hire us to represent them. And at the end of the day, we got to keep their best interest in mind.
Got it. So yeah, it was like a hardcore pivot from electrician to, so how many years now? How long? I always I don't like that question. How many years in real estate? But because I think it's relative, I think some people are like, I've been selling real estate for 25 years. I'm like, you work 2 hours a week. You've been selling real estate for like 1 year. So I think it's relative, but what's the experience been? So about how many years?
Yes. So I've been doing it for about 6 years now. Uh-huh. Started out with actually right down the street from here at Jeff Glover. Mm-hmm. So started there. I was there for
name in town if you're out of town.
Yep. Yeah, so it was a great starting point.
Sure.
I have a lot of respect for what Jeff and Taylor do over there. They do a lot of great things with like teaching agents how to fish instead of just relying on somebody else. So definitely a lot of appreciation there. Transitioned last year out of there to Remax with, you might know him, Nick Schultz with Team Schultz.
Yep, of course. Yep.
Worked with him for a little bit, and now I transitioned again over to Brookstone Realtors out of Troy.
Okay. What was the reason for the recent change? Maybe it's a loaded question, but
no, that's okay. I just looking to build my own brand at this point. I think I'm at that point with my life and my business that as much as I love Nick and what he's doing, he has his established brand, and I'm looking to do that for myself. So I think that was the reason behind making that transition.
Yeah, Nick's a good guy. I'm sure he did nothing negative there. It's just it's always interesting to see the sort of this evolution. But I do want to circle back to you start off under a pretty large team, but a team aspect. And you mentioned prospecting and coaching. How did that help you in your career? What are some of the big takeaways from being in that environment?
I would say it's just the outlook of being a real estate agent. People look at it from the standpoint as, oh, you have control of your schedule, you can do whatever you want, but that's not the reality of it. It's a lot of structure. Just basically, Jeff, from speaking from experience, how he was able to start at ground zero, with his career and build it to what he has today, just kind of showing you like the blueprints of what he did, and you can obviously implement that into your own business and have success with it.
What did you first find success with when you first started? Because I think that's like one of the reasons why I would like to do this show is, you're having some success. You're built a lifestyle for yourself, a career for yourself. And that's not easy to do. Like eight out of 10 people fail, right?
Yes.
In the first couple of years, right? And so, and maybe even more if you go over a further horizon, right? So it's not something for the faint of heart, being an agent and being able to survive the wild, wild west. Or
especially this past market we've been in the last few years, the COVID market.
Yeah. So it was like COVID, like all-time crazy high. Everyone gets in the business. And then major change. Everyone thought it was easy. And all of a sudden it's hard. They all leave. And so what were the tried and true things that you learned early in your career that helped push you through all that?
Whatever you're doing is consistency. For me, I started out having a lot of success with more buyers more than anything. Felt like I just had the personality for that. Now my business is shifting to more of a balance of the two. But the biggest thing is just the consistency. Whatever you find that's working for you, dive into that and consistently do it. Because if you don't, you're gonna have inconsistent results.
Yeah, I think that's super true, right? A lot of people, a problem that I see a lot through years of coaching and collaborating with agents, all that stuff is like we're kind of get shiny object syndrome.
Absolutely.
Where it's like, oh, this is the next thing. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Like, I'm definitely guilty of it. But like, he's like, you have, like, I literally have like 3 YouTubes. Like, we have 17 different Instagram. It's really bad. So I'm guilty of it too, of course.
Yeah.
But the only stuff that works is the stuff that we stick to.
100%.
And so in our business, we call it pillars of success, right? What is the pillar that you're going to start and stick to? And it could be anything. It could be Facebook. It could be door knocking. It could be for sale by owners. I don't care, right? No matter what, there should be a pillar. And in our organization, we always push for one of those pillars have to be what we call top 50, just the SOI program. And so that's number one. That's like the only major requirement with our team structure at the organization is like, hey, you gotta do the top 50 because it's important. But then what is the pillar and how is it unique to you? So I did some one-on-one meetings today. We call them boss up meetings here. But we did some one-on-ones and it's just so interesting. Like my guy, Tyler, he's really into running. He's like a hardcore like marathon runner, does races, all that stuff. And so he's doing a really good job continuing to build that lifestyle and network within his community. And I'm so proud of him for it because he's able to build a life that's like fun. He does his passion, does what he likes to do, and ends up serving a lot of clients along the way as well too. So I guess what was your number one pillar? Like what has generated the most business for you through the years and allowed you to succeed the most?
I would say it's a mix of like expired and for sale by owner business, along with really diving into my sphere of influence.
Yep.
Because for me, like I said, growing up in the Ypsilanti area and then moving to Livonia, that's two different areas of people that I've known and grown up with that I could tap into, along with family and friends, people who already know me, like me, and trust me. Yep. That's the easiest form of business that you can get within, the real estate industry. And then, on the flip note with the expires and for sale by owners, I mean, that's just kind of what I grew up on. That's, when I got into business, they throw me the scripts, they throw me the phone, they're like, figure it out.
That's good. It's good to get thrown to the wolves. Similar to door knocking when you're 12.
Yeah.
It's good to, we need to have thick skin, I think, as
Yes.
real estate agents, definitely as salespeople. And so getting thrown to the wolves is very, very important. So you mentioned, growing up, what part of Ypsi are you from?
So I grew up off of like the Rossonville Road, so kind of like the country part of Ypsi.
Okay.
Yeah.
Rossonville and what?
It was like Rossonville and it's McKean over by the Ford plant. That's right over there.
So the reason why I asked, my dad had a small par 3 golf course growing up. That was a family business. It was at Huron River Drive in Rossonville. So that's technically Belleville.
Yeah.
And then my mom's had an antique shop in Ypsilanti for 50 years. So in Depot Town. So if you ever spent time in Depot Town, my parents actually met in Depot Town back in the day.
Nice.
But anyway, the reason for the story is I think similar to your world, I grew up around small business owners. And like to me, when people work like corporate jobs, it didn't even like register because my parents just like that's what business was. They ran businesses,
right?
Like, you know what I mean? And so it sounds like there's some overlap where you grew up around salespeople and you're like, hey, like I'm just naturally going to do this. And in my head, that was kind of the same thing. I'm naturally going to just run my own business, and that was sort of like the plan. I didn't know what kind of business, and so anyway, that was my evolution. But it sounds like some local overlap. That was just an Ypsi a day or two ago. Encuentro, shout out to those guys. If you're ever in Ypsilanti, Michigan, Encuentro is like my new, and that's not a new spot. It's been like a good favorite of mine for like 5 years.
Okay.
It's Guatemalan food, little spot off Michigan Ave. Highly recommended that.
So
one.
with you being familiar with Ypsi, you have to know Bill's hot dog stand.
Yeah, of course. So you want to hear a quick one on that one?
Yeah,
so,
let's hear it.
So my dad is, like I said, I almost grew up in Ypsi. They moved to Plymouth right before I was born.
Okay.
But they lived in Ypsi for a long time. And my dad has an old Ypsi friend, and he kind of has like a southern accent, very kind of like, for lack of a better term, kind of a hillbilly type guy. Okay. And so one day this friend decides, he goes, Bill's hot dogs is pretty good, right?
Yeah.
And so he decides, he's like, hey, well, we could do a hot dog stand. So he opened a hot dog stand right across the street from Bill's Hot Dogs.
Really?
And it was like a used car lot or something. He knew the guy, and he's like, I'm going to do this, whatever. And how the story goes, and this is like, this might have been like 70s or 80s. This is a very, very long time ago. So I'm not putting his business out there now. Like, this is a very long time ago. But how the story goes, and again, sorry to Bill's I don't know if it's still the same group or not, but how the story goes is the next day he goes to go to work, and they burn the thing down. It was completely gone. So yeah, that's my dad's story on Bill's Hot Dogs. He tells it much better. I wasn't there. It was a long time ago, before I was born. But yeah, that's an Ypsi story for you there. So so I wanted to get into coaching mentors. So obviously you were part of one of the bigger teams here in Southeast Michigan. We already talked about that a little bit. Yep. Do you still do coaching? Do you have mentors, and how does that tie in with your business?
I'm actually still affiliated with Jeff's coaching organization, Glover U. Yep, I have a coach, Nick Belmore, who actually used to work down here in the Metro Detroit. He's in the Grand Rapids market now.
Cool.
But currently working with him. Like I said, just have an appreciation for what they've done. I believe in what they're doing, even though, our paths aren't the same at this point. But, usually the people that are supposed to be in your life, they're in your life one way, shape, or form. Yeah,
I think Jeff's done a good job from afar. I don't know him that well or anything, but he's done a good job from afar with that. There's a lot of different people that I respect in the business locally that still coach with him or are coaches with him, and they're part of other organizations. And so that coaching platform seems to be like, for lack of a better term, is the main focus, and it's really cool how it's turned into something so large. He's influenced a lot of people.
Yeah.
And what's interesting in our marketplace too, if you're listening from other places, is how big mortgages are locally, right? So we have what used to be Quicken Loans, which is now Rocket Mortgages, and then we have UWM, all in Southeast Michigan here, right?
Yep.
So you're talking about 20,000 employees or something in the mortgage space, and in a similar aspect, different scale, but similar business, right? You see all these different mortgage companies, right? And all these people, and like they either started at what used to be Quicken Loans or UWM, and now they run their own
then they
shops.
Expand and
it's just so interesting how it like expands out, and how several people can be so influential in the marketplace. So
absolutely.
So you're still doing coaching. It's a big part of your business. I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer in it. I'm actually with Jeff's organization. I worked on the sales department for Glover U. I was one of the first salespeople that they brought in for that.
Okay.
Yep. So
cool. What was that experience like?
It was cool. You got to meet a lot of different people from around the country. I mean, the events that he hosts in Traverse City and at that time Orlando. I mean, you had thousands of agents coming from across the country. So a lot of cool connections that I've been able to make over the year that I continue to nurture from a referral standpoint. And it was a cool experience.
Love that. You seem. I wanted to ask you, this is kind of a unique one, but I was flipping through your Instagram, and you had a picture of Atomic Habits, which is one of my like favorite modern books.
Yeah.
Like, what are you? Are you avid reader? Is this just like one book? Like, so to me, like habits are like one of the most important things. But I'm assuming some of that stuff ties in with some of the coaching and the general progression.
Just trying to just trying to be better. I mean, there's always room for growth, and I never grew up a reader. I am the opposite of an avid reader. But I know there's value in, reading, keeping the mind sharp, all of that good stuff. So, that was one of my challenges this year, that I wanted to really challenge myself to, read more. And I felt like that was a great place to start with, the Atomic Habits, because, if I can build the habit of reading, then it'll become easier over time.
Sure.
Along with implementing that into my business to continue to sharpen iron.
Yeah, love that. I think I talk about a lot, a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset.
Yeah.
And I think that in sales, it's easy to tell because there's a scoreboard. So it's like, as salespeople, real estate agents, whatever, you have some type of scoreboard. You have a volume goal. You have a sales goal. Like, you can sort of see, that doesn't necessarily mean you're the best person in the world, but it means like you're sticking to something, you're consistent in a certain area where you found some success, right? And so we have that. And so I think naturally, maybe like the self-help stuff, reading, continue to sharpen the iron, like you said, is very, very important. But I think in general, that growth mentality versus that fixed mentality is something that like our society continually needs, right?
Yeah.
And so whether you tie that in with any type of major religion or spirituality or just your own personal journey or however you look at it, that growth mentality are the people that I try to surround myself with.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's one of the most important things that you can do as a human being. Definitely to have success as an agent and to have success in this crazy world we're in right now. So I think that's
absolutely.
So I wish you the continued success in that reading journey, because for me, I was the same way when I was a kid. I hated it. My parents like begged me to read. I was always kind of naturally good at school. It wasn't that hard for me.
Yeah.
That sounds kind of cocky, but like it wasn't like school maybe should be more challenging. I'll just put it that way. It was never like, I was usually a pretty decent test taker. When I went, I would usually pass the test. Anyway, long story short, I didn't really love reading either, and I got into it years ago. And now, fast forward 15 years of like consistently doing it, there's not a better habit, speaking of Atomic Habits, that I think any human being can implement outside of working out. Working out's probably number one. Then like reading would be number two. Okay, cool. So the other thing we talked about prior to this was you're in the process of developing your own brand, and you're thinking about going down some type of a team aspect. What does that look like for you? How do you envision building that? What is the goal? What are the goals with the team?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of taking baby steps with it right now. I think eventually it's like kind of just have like a small like knitted group. My vision personally isn't to have a team of 50 agents. I just don't think that's what are in my cards and my dream of having it. But just having, a few close people that, we can work together, build a brand together and, have success. Yeah. That's my biggest thing.
Yeah, no, I agree. I've been running a team for many years now, and I tell people all the time, like, I wouldn't sell real estate if I was by myself. Like, I just wouldn't. Like, that's that important to me. It's that, like, near and dear to my heart now, where I think it's best for the client. I think it's best for the agent. I think it's best for the brokerage. I think it's best for the industry. And so leaning into that, obviously you've had a lot of experience through it and continue to keep that vibe. I think very few people, some maybe, but very few people that, like, start on a team or ever have any type of real success within a team, like, get away from it. Like, you might like break off on your own, but then eventually you circle back to it or you build your own, right? Because I think that there's a lot of benefits there. What future goals outside of that are you working on? What do you think about for the future? And
trying to become a scratch golfer.
Okay,
working on that.
What's your handicap right now?
So right now, are we talking simulator or are we talking outdoor?
I'm talking like a real handicap. If you want to be a scratch, you gotta track it, right? So
so outside right now, I'm about like a 12.
Okay. What's the simulator comparison? Now I'm curious.
So
I've never heard someone compare the two.
Yeah, so simulator, it's a little bit different. I mean, different type of swing. I can be in the middle of sand and I'm still hitting off the mat. Right. You know what I mean? So it's a little bit different. It's the main thing for the simulator is to keep the swing going. Right. Just keep the tempo, everything like that. Right now in the simulator, I'm probably shooting about a 6 or 7. Okay. So it's almost half of what the outdoor one was for last year. So I'm curious to see what it's going to come out this year after spending the whole winter in the simulator swinging.
Got it. How long you been golfing for?
So I started a little after COVID. So 2020, 2021.
So you're fresh and you're 12
Newer.
already.
Yeah.
You must play a lot.
I do.
Like if you go from so I grew up on a golf course. Like my dad owned a small par 3 golf course. My grandpa was assistant pro at Meadowbrook Country Club. That's why we're from the area.
Yeah.
So they moved to Northville in the 50s, and my dad actually grew up on the golf course. Really cool stories. Ben Hogan was in my dad's house.
Oh,
and
nice.
Like some cool stories. But anyway, long story short, like golf is in my blood. Like that's like I was obsessed as a kid. Played a lot of junior golf. Played a little bit in college. I was going to go into the golf world for a long time as a business. I'm glad that I didn't, because I think business and whatever. Anyway, long story short. So if you started in last 5 years and you're already at 12. Like you must. Where do you usually play?
I pretty much bounce all around. If you're a golfer, you know, like the Golf Now app where you go on there. So usually try to find the hot deals.
Cool.
But yeah, I don't have like a home track, I would say. I usually play like Hilltop, the Livonia courses there.
Yep.
I'm still waiting to get out to Shepherd's Hollow. I heard a lot of good things about that.
For sure.
Yep. Got a place up in Petoskey, so when I'm up there, I like to do the Donald Ross Memorial.
Yep.
That's a really
Boyne's
cool
course, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's great.
You want to talk about difficult course? That's you don't keep it straight, you're in sand.
Yeah. That's cool. I've played all those tracks quite a bit, and we'll have to get out. I'm trying to. The last couple of years I've been focusing on real estate, which is
that's fair.
I think the good agents realize it's like this is very much a lifestyle, right? This is not a business, not a job. It's a lifestyle. There's a lot of hours. There's weird hours.
You're always on, no matter what.
Yeah. And one of the first things that you've said today, and we've talked a couple other times, is one thing you mentioned is putting the client first, and that's why I can tell why you're having success, why you continue to have success. You mentioned like, hey, I'm trying to do right by clients. I'm trying to negotiate for clients. I'm a good sales guy. I'm able to communicate in their best behalf.
Yeah.
And if you continue to do that, you'll be fine. And then on the golf course, I can't give you much advice. So the golf course, I have no idea, man. You just got to beat golf balls until your hands bleed, and then you eventually figure it out. Yep. Let me know how that scratch journey goes for you. Okay?
Yeah, I think we're making some good progress. I took the time to build a golf simulator this past year at my house.
In the house, huh? Okay.
Yep. So actually hold a weekly league, like a winter league, at my place every Wednesday.
Wow. Okay.
So
how awesome.
Yeah.
That's like the best way ever to get clients. Like just like put that on the internet. Like, hey, we have a golf simulator. Also, if you're looking to buy or sell a house.
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool, man. I actually went to Oasis the other day.
Yeah.
It's the first time I picked up my clubs in a very long time with Nemish, my business partner, and we hit some. They have the TrackMan now there and stuff,
right,
in the dome, which was cool. And I would love to put a simulator in my house one day. Actually, I want to put a simulator in here, but I don't know. I should probably use.
You might be able to attract some more agents with that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We got the pool table. I got a little putting green in back.
Yep.
I want to do at a minimum. Eventually, I'm going to do a built-in like putting green, not just like, we just got the little like.
Just get the big inflatable that you can put out in a parking lot.
Yeah,
and then you can just throw the little projector out there, and you might be good to go.
See what I'm saying? Okay. Well, on that note, thanks, man. Thanks for coming out. I appreciate it. Enjoyed the conversation. Wish you all the success in the world with the team building and the scratch golfer, because that's we'll have to get out sometime.
Yeah. Likewise, Matt.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Corey.